You cannot escape. You have no idea what their weapons can do.
The Last Samurai, rated R, starts Friday, December 5th.
So Tom Cruise plays Nathan Algren, who's an American captain of the 7th Cavalry Regiment, whose personal and emotional conflicts bring him into contact with samurai warriors in the wake of the Meiji Restoration in 19th century Japan. The plot is similar to is inspired by the 1877 Satsuma Rebellion led by Saigo Takamori and the westernization of Japan by foreign powers. And the character of Algren is loosely based on Eugene Collier and Jules Brunet, both French Imperial Guard officials who fought alongside Enomoto Takeaki in the earlier Russian War. And Edward Zerwicks made a lot of good epic movies in his career. He did Glory back in the day, and this is a film that's just as good enough. I don't think it's as good as Glory is, because I think Glory is probably his overall best film as a director, but this is a film that is very good. It's definitely got the scope and scale to really make it work. The action sequences, the battle sequences are very good. The cinematography, top-notch. Hans Zimmer's score, I mean, you can't go wrong with that guy. The acting overall is very good. Tom Cruise, I thought, was pretty good. Ken Watanabe is very good in here, too. And I wouldn't be surprised if this convinced Warner Brothers to cast Christopher Nolan to cast him in Batman Begins as Ra's al Ghul. Or, not Ra's al Ghul, I can't remember who he was in Batman Begins. It's been a while since I've seen it, but Ken Watanabe is very good in the film. Everyone here is very good in the film in general. The story itself is kind of mediocre at best. I mean, it's not really that much of an epic scale in terms of story. It kind of is very generic overall. But the things that do work with this film do carry over to where I would say the film definitely is more than worth a watch. It's a film that's very engaging, very entertaining to watch just for the visuals and the acting alone. I mean, the music is great. The scope and scale is epic. I mean, it's a film that really is well done in a lot of aspects. I just wish the story was a little bit more developed overall. My only real problem with the film, definitely a very good film, though. Let's move on to the next movie, Jessica Alba starring in Honey.
That is truly love, and that's better than something that makes you rich.
Let's become one with the beat, and don't worry about me stepping all over.
That's skills, and that's gonna take you places. All that real dance training going to waste. This is what I do.
Stand up! When I move, you move.
Just like that.
When I move, you move.
Just like that.
When I move, you move.
Just like that.
Hell yeah, hey DJ, bring that back.
Honey, rated PG-13, starts Friday.
Or the movie could be just called Jessica Alba's Hips Don't Lie. I mean, the whole marketing campaign is just watching Jessica Alba doing these dance moves. I mean, she's the focus of the poster in a provocative pose. And the funny thing is, she was actually not the first person who was intended to be in this, but she was actually there was actually some rumors out there that Aaliyah was originally supposed to star in this, but she actually accepted the role. The thing is that she accepted the role, and then, unfortunately, she passed away in August of 2001 before filming had begun. That was actually proven false, as they actually had intended for Beyonce Knowles to star in this. It was written for her, but she eventually skipped the project, go on to tour, and turned out to work in her favor, because this is right around this time. This is when her career really began to take off as a solo artist. So Jessica Alba eventually took control, and the movie is what we have here. Alba plays Honey Daniels, a 22-year-old, sexy, tough-minded, part black, part Latina, hip-hop dancer in New York's East Harlem, who dreams of making it big as a music video choreographer. She teaches hip-hop dancing at a local youth center and encourages the local kids to attend to keep them off the streets and out of trouble. And luck shines on Honey in the form of a famous music video director named Michael, played by... I almost had the wrong name for a second there. Played by Mekhi Phifer. And I lost my train of thought. We'll cast her in one music video. She is encouraged to make the transition from dancer to choreographer. But Honey's sudden success comes with a price when Michael refuses to take no for an answer to his sexual advances, and then tries to sabotage her career by blackballing her out of the business. So, a little bit of a mix of Fame, a little bit of a mix of Footloose in here for modern times, and Alba's probably the one thing that does carry the film overall, even though she's supposed to be 22 years old, and even then, that's like... I mean, she was young at the time, but there's no way you can convince me that she looked 22 at the time, even though technically that is her age. I mean, that was her age at the time. I don't know. I mean, I saw her first on Dark Angel, and I don't know. To me, it just didn't hit me at first. But you know what? Like I said, nothing against her in the movie. She's actually one of the things that actually lifts the film up a little bit. The music sequences overall are very good, but like I said, the story seems very much too familiar to stuff like Fame and Footloose, and not Flashdance. Excuse me, Fame and Flashdance. A little bit of Footloose here and there with the youth organ element to it, but I mean, the film itself is just. Like I said, Jessica Alba does lift the film to a level where I would say that it's fine for what it is, but it definitely is a movie that could have been a whole lot better, I think, with a much better story to tell, instead of just a story that seems very formulaic and predictable. Because, yeah, you can pretty much see what's going to come from this whole thing, and like I said, Alba's okay. Alba's the one thing that does carry the film over, as well as the music sequences, which are nicely done. But it's definitely one of those movies that is trying to go for more of the sex appeal with Alba at the centerpiece of it, and it's really the one selling point of the movie. But even then, it's not enough to really say that it's something you're going to watch over and over again. For a one-time watch, I think it's fine for what it is. But other than that, though, it's definitely not a film that I think is going to warrant a lot of repeat viewing. But I've been wrong on these before. But at least for me personally, it just didn't really do enough for me to say that it's something it's a classic movie. It's just fine for what it is. For a one-time watch, fine. But other than that, that's about it. So that is Honey. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie we have here, which actually did come out the week before, but I didn't cover it because I already had 6 movies on that show to cover. So here's the last film from last week, and that is In America.
Everybody smile and say cheese.
God, America's okay.
Right.
Lock God's knocking on the door. You can't turn it away.
It's America, Sam.
Are you crying? Dad, they're gonna shoot you.
I suppose I'm going home.
Say goodbye to me. Dad, can we stay here all day?
So this is the film that's a semi-autobiographical story based off of Jim Sheridan, who also directed this. He did My Left Foot and In the Name of the Father. And it focuses also on his 2 daughters, Naomi and Kirsten. And it focuses on an immigrant Irish family's struggle to start a new life in New York City, as seen through the eyes of the elder daughter, played by Sarah Bolger. Patty Constantine plays the equivalent to Jim Sheridan in this, Johnny Sullivan, and Samantha Morton plays the wife, and Jaimin Hantu also is in the movie as well, as you see in that trailer there. And it's a nice coming-of-age film. It's a film that is it's a very uplifting story about a subject matter that's still very relevant in today's world, and it's a very good film. A lot of good humor in there, a lot of good drama. I mean, you get really attached to these characters right from the get-go, and it's a really good story about the American dream and how, not everything about it is perfect, but there are some things about it that you could really find value of. It never pushes the point where it feels like it's going to go down that Oscar bait cliched riddle road that these films usually tend to go on to. No, it's never sappy. It never feels like it's going too out of its territory that's trying to set up. It feels very genuine. It's a film that really shows the great things about the way that America is, and how these people were able to survive the way they were able to do it. It's a film that really has. Some might say it's even a little bit too ahead of its time at the same time. But it's a film that really does work from beginning to end. It's a very uplifting film, a very poignant film. We got 4th of July coming up as at the time of recording this, which is on June 20th, 2024. But it's a film that I would recommend checking out because it's a film that really does work. It's probably my favorite overall film that Jim Sheridan has ever directed, because after this, nothing of his really stood up to what he did beforehand, and a lot of his movies after this kind of fell off. But this is probably his magnum opus overall, his best overall film. I really liked it a lot. I can't recommend it enough. In America, definitely more than worth a watch.
Understand, I'm dating your daughter.
You're dating my daughter?
Now, who would have thought that would be worse news?
Columbia Pictures presents Jack Nicholson, Diane Keaton, Keanu Reeves, Frances McDormand, Amanda Peet in a comedy about life. And how it can surprise you. Something's gotta give.
I've never seen a woman that age naked before. You're kidding. We're not all doctors, baby.
Rated PG-13.
And I will say this, for those audiences out there who've been waiting to see a 63-year-old Jack Nicholson, a 56-year-old Diane Keaton, and Amanda Peet near buck naked. Here's your movie right here. In fact, Diane Keaton actually does get naked in this PG-13 movie, which I was actually kind of surprised by. I was just like, wow, they actually let that through. I don't know, maybe because she wasn't doing anything sexual or anything, but it's just normal life, or I don't know, but I was surprised when I saw that. I was just like, whoa, where the hell did that come from? But, hey, it's a Nancy Meyers movie, and she usually makes a lot of very good films, and, this one is definitely that. You have Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton, who are professionals who find love for each other in later life, despite being complete opposites. You know, Jack Nicholson's dating Amanda Peet, which I find it kind of funny because Amanda Peet also was dating an older man and Bruce Willis in the sequel, The Whole 10 Yards, which came out shortly after this. She wasn't dating him in the first movie, but they became a couple in the second film. And Diane Keaton seeing Keanu Reeves, Neo from The Matrix, and I think this movie kind of gives you an idea that Keanu Reeves isn't just a plain mediocre actor in general. Like, he has range, and to be with those talents, I mean, Jack Nicholson, Diane Keaton, there's also Frances McDormand, Jon Favreau is in this movie as well. That's a pretty tall feat to accomplish, and the film does very well with it. And, you know, the film just works. It's a mainstream movie with two titans of actors working together here, and they're supposed to play people who have an affinity for younger people, and yet they find this chemistry that just works so well. And it's like I said, the writing of Nancy Meyers. I mean, this is the person that made the Father of the Bride movies look as good as they did. I mean, she did The Holiday. She did, what was the one she did recently? Can't remember it. Complicated. That's the one I'm thinking of. It's Complicated, which, does not have her in it. It's Meryl Streep in that one. And even The Intern with Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway is surprisingly really good. She did also What Women Want and The Parent Trap. I mean, she's a really damn good director in general, and this is just another film that really shows what she's capable of doing as a filmmaker, and she just makes it work. The acting is great. The comedy is very funny. The writing overall is very good. It's a really good crowd-pleasing movie. It's a film that was a massive success for good reason. It shows that these are two titans of actors who can work off each other really well, and it's just a great, great film. It's a fun film, a really good time overall. I can't really say too much more about it that hasn't already been said. It's a really damn good movie, and one that I do indeed recommend checking out. So that's Something's Gotta Give. Let's move on to the next movie. The Farrelly Brothers with a new film. Probably one of their most underrated movies in my opinion. Greg Kinnear, Matt Damon, and Cher in Stuck on You.
Academy Award winner Matt Damon. Academy Award nominee Greg Kinnear. Academy Award winner Cher. Four-time Academy Award watchers, the Farrelly Brothers, bring you a story of two brothers who are one of a kind.
I'm gonna have to level with you. Siamese twins ain't the easiest sell I've ever had.
We're not Siamese. We're American.
Stuck on You.
So, when'd you get this done?
No, we were born this way.
Cool.
That's actually a different trailer than what I saw back in the day. In fact, the first time I ever saw the trailer for that particular trailer, I really did think that it was legitimately a serious drama, but no. As soon as they say four-time Academy Award watchers, the Farrelly Brothers, it wasn't even that. It's when they said Academy Award nominee Cher. That was just like, okay, that's when I knew this was a comedy, even though she actually did win an Oscar for Moonstruck, and I hadn't seen Moonstruck at that point, but now I've seen it. It's a great film, and I see why she won the Oscar. But this is Stuck on You, where you have Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear as conjoined twin brothers whose conflicting aspirations provide both conflict and humorous situations, in particular when one of them wishes to move from Hollywood to pursue a career as an actor. And chaos and hilarity ensues, with Eva Mendes and Seymour Cassell among the peak cast in here. And, you know, for the Farrelly Brothers, this is actually one of their more tamer movies by comparison, and maybe that's why the film didn't do so well at the box office. It was actually seen as kind of an underperformer, even though it did make its budget back at $55 million, with a $65 million worldwide gross. It was a film that was not particularly well received in general compared to some of their other movies, and quite frankly, I don't understand why, because it was a movie that actually was legitimately a good film. Maybe it's because I think people expected more gross-out humor from the Farrelly brothers, but made a couple movies that were much more tamer. And there's nothing wrong with being tamer as long as the movies are good. I mean, they did this, and then they followed up with Fever Pitch, which I think is a criminally underrated Farrelly Brothers movie. Probably the one good movie Jimmy Fallon ever did as an actor, which isn't really a whole lot, but he gets kind of a bad rap for The Tonight Show. And let's just say that as of the time of recording this, I'm preparing a little documentary for the 70th anniversary of The Tonight Show, and I wanted to rewatch the Jimmy Fallon one to get ready for that. But needless to say, there's going to be a lot to talk about, and I might even do it this week on the Reviewing Network Live. But let's just say that the days when Jimmy Fallon was actually funny are kind of past it at this point. But we're not here to talk about Jimmy Fallon, at least not yet. We'll get to his movies starting with Taxi next year, but we're here to talk about this movie here. And you know what? Like I said, it's a fun movie. I like these two. I like Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear working off each other. I like that they're Siamese twins. Like the thing that's literally holding them together. Like, it looks kind of fake, but at the same time, it kind of looks authentic at the same time. It's funny. Like, it's a funny movie. A film that is so cleverly written. Like, I like how Cher's able to make fun of herself in this. Like, there's the whole thing where she's dating Frankie Muniz from Malcolm in the Middle, which is kind of amusing in its own ways, and probably is the darkest joke that this movie probably goes into. But I will admit the ending does go a little bit too long. In fact, I will say this. The last maybe 20, 30 minutes does go over a little bit too much. It does overstay its welcome, and I won't say it's a great film, but it's definitely a film that I think deserves a lot more credit than it actually gets. It's a film that's actually very funny. The last 30 minutes, though, I will say, do kind of slow it down a little bit, but never to the point where I feel like I have to say it's a bad movie. I still think this is a really good film overall. I do recommend checking it out. It's definitely one of the Farrelly Brothers' most underrated movies, in my personal opinion. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Love Don't Cost a Thing.
As a dream, she's like a frappuccino.
Oh!
$3,000?
Not necessary.
He's found a way
You can fix it?
to make it come true.
And what exactly do you want in return?
Pretend to be my girlfriend. It'll make me popular.
Nick Cannon, Christina Leon, and Steve Harvey.
Dang! Look at you!
Love Don't Cost a Thing. Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, December 12th.
It's amazing that Jennifer Lopez isn't involved in this. They must have paid a lot of money to actually use the title of that, since that's based off of her song. And this is also written by the same guy and directed by the same guy that wrote Baps, which, yeah, that's not a good sign whatsoever. And you have a movie here that's essentially a remake of Can't Buy Me Love from 1987 that starred Patrick Dempsey. And in it, Nick Cannon plays a nerdy kid who's skilled in designing car engines. And when he's got this crush on Christina Milian from Taina, if you remember that show from Nickelodeon, and you know her car crashes, and you know he's willing to fix the car on the condition that he pretends to be his girlfriend. And so basically the whole movie he's just simping for this girl. But I think really the overall feeling of this movie is, why would you want to remake Can't Buy Me Love? I mean, not to say that it's a bad movie by any means necessary, but Can't Buy Me Love did not have the lasting legacy that I think this director thinks it really did, because, you know, it's an 80s teen movie that is, you know, simple premise. Patrick Dempsey kind of wants to do the same thing, wants to get the girl of his dreams, but he's a nerd, and so he basically says, "I'll pay you money to be my girlfriend." Except that in this case, it's basically Christina Milian being just simply asked to by Nick Cannon to do it because, you know, of her issue with the car. And I'm sorry, I can't buy Nick Cannon as a nerd more than I can buy Patrick Dempsey as a nerd. Patrick Dempsey's a nerd and Can't Buy Me Love I could buy, but here, he's just trying way too hard, especially since a year before this, he was in Drumline and looking more confident than he does in this. Like, this was getting to a point where it was just like, okay, you're past the point where you can make this work as you're trying to make this work as it does. But, I mean, you also got Steve Harvey in here, who's fine, I guess. I mean, Kenan Thompson's in here, Cal Penn, Regan Gomez-Preston from The Cleveland Show, Nicole Scherzinger, pre-Pussycat Dolls, Dante Bosco is in here as a spoken word artist. But other than that, though, this is, I guess I could say it's not as bad as Baps, but doesn't make it a good movie either. It just makes it kind of a mediocre film at best. Nothing too spectacular, nothing too amazing, and you can't really buy into the chemistry either. And just like I said, the whole purpose of the film is supposed to be, you know, like, it's supposed to be like signify that Can't Buy Me Love left such a lasting impact on people that this movie had to be remade for a new generation. And no, it just simply was not. But it's here, and yeah, I've got nothing really good to say about it other than what I just said. So how about we get to some good movies? Let's go ahead and move on back to the good stuff. Let's go to Tim Burton's Big Fish.
In telling the story of my father's life, it's impossible to separate fact from the fiction, the man from the myth. The best I can do is to tell it the way he told me.
If there was one thing you can say about it, boo-boo,
was that I was intended for larger things. I was the biggest thing Ashton had ever seen.
From the imagination of director Tim Burton.
most men, they'll tell you a story straight through. It won't be complicated, but it won't be interesting either.
Did you ever think that maybe you're not too big, but maybe this town is just too small?
They say when you meet the love of your life, time stops. And that's true. Your mother was never supposed to marry me. She was engaged to somebody else.
Forget it, kid. Don't waste your time. She's out of your league.
You don't even know me.
Sure I do. You were hot stuff back in Hitville. But here in the real world, you got squat.
Now, I may not have much, but I have more determination than any man you're ever likely to meet.
Sandra Templeton, I love you and I will marry you.
I was dried out.
Dad, I have no idea who you are.
What do you want, Will? Who do you want me to be?
Just yourself. Just show me who you are for once.
Discover an adventure as big as life itself.
In telling the story of my father's life,
Bravo Company, go!
doesn't always make sense. But that's what kind of story this is.
I mean, you gotta play that music from Edward Scissorhands, and I'm just putty in your hands. I mean, that's a great trailer, too, that just gives you an idea, an indication of what this movie is and why it works so well, because this is an amazing movie, man. I love this movie so much. You have the story of a frustrated son who tries to distinguish fact from fiction in the life of his father, a teller of tall tales. You have Ewan McGregor playing the younger version of William Bloom, and Albert Finney's the older version. Billy Crudup is the son. Jessica Lange is William's wife. Helena Bonham Carter's also in here. Alison Lohman is the younger version of Jessica Lange's character. You have Robert Guillaume, Marion Cotillard, Steve Buscemi, Danny DeVito in a role that he would play again basically 16 years later in Dumbo. It's literally the same role in Dumbo pretty much, but in here, it's just a great film in general. You have the theme of reconciliation, and it became part of the reason why Tim Burton actually decided to do it, because it had special significance for him, because his father died in 2000, and then he lost his mother 2 years later before he signed on to direct the film. And you could just see the passion that he has in this movie. This is just a beautifully put together film, from a visual perspective, from a storytelling perspective, with just a terrific cast led by Ewan McGregor. If you didn't think Obi-Wan Kenobi could act before this movie came out, this movie proved that he can do that and then some, because he is incredible in this film. Like I said, the visual aspect of the movie is amazing. This is probably one of Tim Burton's best films. I mean, this is a film that is just so well put together, so enticing, so engaging. A terrific score once again by Danny Elfman. Just a brilliant, brilliant movie, man. This is a classic film on a number of levels. Really, a film that I don't think gets the proper respect that it deserves. I mean, yeah, Tim Burton's gotten a bad rap over the years, but man, I can't recommend this movie enough. Terrific film, amazing film. Friggin' Big Fish, man. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out on a terrific, terrific film. Speaking of terrific films, let's go ahead and wrap up this show by taking a look at the last film we have here, and that is Scarlett Johansson in The Girl with a Pearl Earring. Once with Colin Firth.
Now look your lips. Tell me how you get on up there. Do you move him? Do you inspire him?
Lionsgate Films presents Colin Firth, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Wilkinson in the mystery behind the masterpiece. Girl with a Pearl Earring.
Based off of the novel of the same name, you have Scarlett Johansson starring as Gladden, a young 17th century servant in the house of this Dutch painter played by Colin Firth. At the time, he painted The Girl with a Pearl Earring in the city of Delft in Holland. This also has Tom Wilkinson, Cillian Murphy, Essie Davis, and Judy Parfitt. And in a year where Scarlett Johansson just really was taken off with Lost in Translation, here's another film that doesn't get really the proper attention that I think it does, because Lost in Translation came out, and that is a much better film. But man, this is another film that shows that Scarlett Johansson has a future going for her. Kind of like with Ewan McGregor in Big Fish, but here, like, she looks like the person in the painting, and it's just incredible how much of a similarity there is between her and the woman in the painting. It's a really engaging film. It's a film that does go against the norms of a typical period film, and actually does something very different and very unique with it to make it stand out on its own. It's a film that is visually gorgeous to look at, features a top-notch cast of really talented people, some great music by Alexander Desplat, some great cinematography. What more do I have to say, man? It's a great film. Definitely a film that's very much underrated in general. It's a film that I do recommend checking out, especially for Scarlett Johansson's performance. It's just another great film. Good one to wrap the show up with. Girl with a Pearl Earring.
We come to it at last. Time magazine calls The Return of the King the film event of the millennium. And winner of the New York Film Critics Circle Award for Best Picture of the Year. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, rated PG-13.
So, continuing the plot of the last movie, Frodo, Sam, and Gollum make their final way toward Mount Doom to destroy the One Ring, unaware of Gollum's true intentions, while Merry, Pippin, Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and their allies join forces against Sauron and his legions from Mordor. And, considering that everything that they were building up to with the first two movies has culminated to this, unlike the Matrix trilogy, this is one where everything just comes into play in the final film and creates the end to a pretty damn good trilogy of movies that got better and better with each passing film. And this is the culmination of it all, a masterpiece of a film that just really... I really don't have much more to say about this one that hasn't already been said already. It's a towering achievement for what Peter Jackson was able to accomplish. I mean, it's a movie with great action sequences, great visual effects, great production value. The performances are great. The scale is grand and epic. The direction is top-notch. The writing is great. The score is terrific. The costume design is great. The weight of the storyline is very good. The scope, the scale, the story, just everything I mentioned before, just... not much more you can really add to it. For a film that's as long as this is and has as many endings as it does have, you feel like it's kind of earned, because at the time we thought this was indeed the last time we were going to see these characters again. We had no idea that Peter Jackson was going to eventually do the Hobbit movies after this, which I like those Hobbit movies enough, but they're nowhere near as good as what he did with the first time around with the Lord of the Rings, and they were well rewarded for this. I mean, this is one of the few films to ever win all of the nominations that it was nominated for at the Academy Awards. This won 11 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director Peter Jackson, which really is not surprising to do that, considering that it's it's tying with Ben-Hur and Titanic for the most Academy Award wins of all time. And again, it's hard not to see why. The effort that they put into this, the fact that New Line Cinema put their studio basically on the line for this to work. And it paid off in dividends, and then they sold off to Warner Brothers, which that still baffles me. Is that how do you lose all that money and you have to be debunked into Warner Brothers at that point, 5 years after this comes out? It just does not make any sense. But at the time, it was considered a massive, massive success on their part, and yeah, there's really not much more I can add to this that hasn't already been said already with the other movies and what everybody else had said. It's a masterpiece, a classic film. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. It's about as good as you can get, and then some. So let's go ahead and get to the other movies that dared to combat The Lord of the Rings. And the biggest threat was Julia Roberts and Kirsten Dunst in Mona Lisa Smile.
You can conform, or, I know, be ourselves.
It was a time for building friendships, finding love, and discovering who you were meant to be.
You're the one who said I could do anything I wanted.
Julia Roberts.
Do you swear not to repeat what you see or smell tonight? No. Yes, no, hands up.
Mona Lisa Smile, rated PG-13.
So in the film, Julia Roberts stars as Catherine Ann Watson, who was accepted to the position teaching art history at the prestigious Wellesley College. Watson is a very modern woman, particularly for the 1950s, and has a passion not only for art but for her students. For the most part, the students all seem to be biding their time, waiting for the right man to marry. The students all are very bright, and Watson feels they are not reaching their potential. Although a strong bond is forced between teacher and student, Watson's views are incompatible with the dominant culture of the college. Okay, you know exactly what type of a movie this is. It's another Dead Poet Society. It's another Dangerous Minds. It's, yeah, it's pretty much what you think it is, and it's really not that great of a movie, despite all the talent that's in here. And there is a lot of talent in here. You know, like I said, Julia Roberts, Kirsten Dunst, Julia Stiles, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Dominic West, Jennifer Goodwin, Topher Grace, John Slattery, pre-Mad Men, of course, Marcia Gay Harden, Tori Amos, Evan Moss-Baccarat, pre-The Bear in this movie as well, Kristen Ritter. I mean, a strong cast overall here. A good director, too, Mike Newell, who also did 4 Weddings and a Funeral, and then follows up with Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. It's not a good script overall to really make it stand out or do anything unique and different to it. It's literally Dead Poet Society all over again. It's just really that type of a film. And, yeah, you could put Julia Roberts in there as much as you want to, and even though she'll command the screen, doesn't mean the movie's going to be saved when it's all said and done, because the film really isn't really all that saved. Despite the talent they have in here, there's just not enough talent there in terms of the story and the characters in the development of the storyline to make it stand out or actually work on its own. It just didn't work, in my opinion. It was just a film that just kind of like, yeah, sometimes the performances can be good and sometimes the direction can be good, but other than that, though, there's really no reason to watch this film, honestly. I mean, there's so much better options that you could see, specifically Lord of the Rings, but there's also another release that came out this weekend that you'd be better off seeing, and that is okay, maybe that's not what I'm thinking of here. I'm thinking of something else completely, but the next movie is notable for a couple of reasons, so let's go ahead and take a look at that film, and that is Helen Mirren and Julie Walters in Calendar Girls.
Fancy some chip. Oh, yeah.
In the quiet English town of Naples, the Women's Club always did its part for charity.
This year's fundraising calendar will feature homegrown vegetables.
Thank God. For a minute there, I thought it was going to be dull.
But this year, for Annie and Chris,
What is it? John's sick.
charity is closer to home.
I'd like to read something that Annie's husband, John, wrote. The flowers of Yorkshire are like the women of Yorkshire. The last stage of their growth is the most glorious.
And the only way to raise more money than ever before is to go further than anyone ever imagined.
We're planning a calendar for John. And proposing on it. And that's about it, really. Naked.
It's what John suggested.
I didn't hear him use the phrase, whip your bras off.
Now, they've got fears.
We don't do nudity.
We're not going to go round parading ourselves in a room full of men. This isn't France.
They've got issues.
My mom's being weird. Women go through a difficult age. How do you know? My dad told me.
And they've got to decide just how far they're willing to go.
They'll never go through with it.
You're looking at January.
February.
March. April.
Inspired by the remarkable true story.
At first glance, it should look like a classic calendar, except the person is naked.
Touchstone Home Entertainment presents a group of ordinary women.
I'm 55. I'm not going to get him out now. When am I?
Who change the world one month at a time.
I want to raise money for John, and I'm prepared to take the clothes off for calendar.
Helen Mirren, Julie Walters.
T-minus 2 hours. Brawls off to avoid strap marks. We're going to need considerably bigger buns.
Calendar Girls.
Evidently, Christmas 2003 was the time when older actors got naked. I mean, we just talked about Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton last week in Something's Gotta Give, and now you have Helen Mirren and Julie Walters in Calendar Girls, and that's literally the plot of the movie, where you have a group of middle-aged Yorkshire women who produce a nude calendar to raise money for leukemia research under the auspices of the Women's Institute in April 1999, after the husband of one of the members dies from cancer. And it's comparable to the Full Monty, and it very much is similar to the Full Monty. And in fact, it's honestly a little bit more heartfelt than the Full Monty is. The Full Monty, I mean, that movie works on a number of different levels, but this one has more of the heart factor to it because of why the ladies are getting naked here. It's because, you know, to help raise awareness for leukemia and, you know, these things, these serious diseases, and they're doing it in this very funny way, and they go all in on it. I mean, yeah, it's a PG-13 movie, but it borders on an R rating at times here, and it's just like, wow, I can't believe they actually get away with some of the stuff that they're able to do here in this particular film, but it works. It's actually a lot more charming and a lot more uplifting than you would give it credit for, just from looking at the poster alone, where you see a older woman, like, holding a calendar while wearing nothing on underneath her. It's just like, it's that weird type of thing where you expect a kind of gross-out comedy in a way, and it doesn't really go that way. It's more heartfelt. It knows exactly how to tug at your heartstrings, and it also knows how to make you laugh without going to those extreme levels, and that's more than acceptable. I can definitely see the appeal of that with this. I mean, it is very much like a Full Monty in a way. Like, I think the Full Monty is a much better film, but this is definitely a film I would say is definitely worth it in the long run. It's a film that has enough there to say, you know what, that was more than worth it for me to say I'd recommend checking it out. So yeah, Calendar Girls, definitely check it out. Let's go ahead and move on to our last film, and that is Jennifer Connelly and Ben Kingsley in the drama House of Sand and Fog.
We can't do this, Lass. Please, let's just go. This is your fault, Behran. You have done this.
You are a complicated woman, aren't you?
I'm not. I'm just really good at complicating things.
I have taken us so far off our course, but now it is time to go to our destiny.
This is a story about the battle between a young woman, played by Jennifer Connelly, and an immigrant Iranian family over the ownership of a house in Northern California, which ultimately leads to the destruction of 5 lives. And the family is Ben Kingsley and Shure Abdashlu, and they all got, and her and Kingsley actually got nominated for Oscars for this, as did James Horner for Best Original Score. Overall, the movie is okay, I guess. I don't think it's really a terrific film in general. I think it's one where the performances do uplift it to the point where it is something that I would say is definitely worth watching. Other than that, though, it's a storyline we've seen kind of done to death so many times, and it doesn't really add anything new to it. The performances, I think, do carry the load over to make me say that, yeah, this should be something you should watch at least once. But if you're looking for something to watch on multiple occasions, this one probably won't do the trick for you. But looks fine for what it is, so not much more to say about that one. That's The House of Sand and Fog.
On this quiet street, in this ordinary house, something has grown out of control. It has the strength of an army and an appetite that can never be satisfied. Now, there's only one man who can face it. And it's not him. This Christmas,
12 kids? That's nuts.
The more the scarier.
It's gonna hurt.
Steve Martin.
12 kids later and we still got the heat.
Things are getting pretty twisted around here.
Well, that's great.
Cheaper by the dozen.
Thanks for ruining my life.
I don't know what it is about Steve Martin, but even when he's being extremely cringy in a movie, he still can be very funny at times. And, yeah, this is not a great movie, but it just is the culmination of a pretty good year for Martin in 2003. Of course, he had 3 really good movies, but only 2 of them were big hits, and then Legion's Back in Action unfortunately flopped. But this is, like I said, a remake of the original Cheaper by the Dozen, where you have judging career and family can be a lot, and for Tom and Kate Baker, the proud parents of 12 children, having chosen family over career aspirations, their lives have suddenly changed when small-town coach Tom is offered his dream job, and Kate's book has been accepted for publication. Now, with her promoting it, it's up to Tom to look after the children, take care of the house, and handle a new job. Can he bring order out of chaos? And obviously, as you see from the trailer, the answer to that is not really. But this is a pretty stacked cast overall, with notable names all throughout. Not just Steve Martin and Bonnie Hunt. You have Piper Perabo from Coyote Ugly, Tom Welling from Smallville, Hilary Duff, Allison Stoner, Lillian Mummy, Blake Woodruff, Alan Ruck, Paula Marshall, Ashton Kutcher, Wayne Knight's also in the movie, Richard Jenkins. Just a lot of people in this movie, and you know, it's not, I won't say it's a great movie by any means necessary, but it is a fun movie. It's a fun movie watching Steve Martin and Bonnie Hunt in this movie. It's mostly Steve Martin, but you get enjoyment from most of the people involved in here. The film is not really that clever in terms of its comedy or its writing in general. In fact, a lot of stuff in this movie really isn't all that funny, but it's just one of those movies where there's just something about it that just makes me come back to it, even though I know it's not a film that's not really all that funny or clever, but it's still a fun movie overall. And I think it's because it's the director, Sean Levy, who had already done Just Married earlier in the year. And like I said before, he usually has the knack to make movies that usually usually won't be that good, but they'll still be fun at many occasions. And this is one of those ones where it's just like, yeah, there is a lot of fun things about the film in general that I do remember from it. And I kind of enjoy it for what it is. I mean, it's not a great movie by any means, but I thought there was a lot of stuff in it that I did enjoy. It's kind of a nostalgic, guilty pleasure for me, honestly, the more I think about it. But like I said, I think Steve Martin does carry the load in it very well. I thought it was a fun movie. Overall, not a great film, but a fun film overall. One I like to go back to every once in a while. But that's my take on that one. That's Cheaper by the Dozen. So on to the next movie, which I believe is Jude Law, Nicole Kidman, and Renee Zellweger in Anthony Mangela's Cold Mountain.
After some cause I don't believe in.
Any soldier shall be hunted down like a dog.
One man. One chance. One way home.
I was seeing him come back to me.
Jude Law, Nicole Kidman, Renee Zellweger. Cold Mountain.
Kind of like Anthony Mangela's The English Patient. Probably more overrated than it actually is. I mean, it's not a bad movie by any means, but it's definitely a film that's not as good as I think it probably should be. You have a story that centers around the story of a wounded deserter from the Confederate Army close to the end of the American Civil War, who journeys home to reunite with the woman he loves. And Jude Law is that person, as Nicole Kidman. Renee Zellweger won an Oscar for this, which, you know, that's the thing. I'm glad Renee Zellweger has 2 Academy Awards, but at the same time, can you give it to her in movies where she's actually acting and not just giving a generic Oscar cliche performance? Because in Judy, when she's playing Judy Garland, she's just playing a role that's just right for Oscar bait. And this is another one of those performances where she's trying way too hard, and yet somehow it won her an Academy Award. Like, there's the famous line in there where she's just like, you know, if they call this war a cloud over the land, but they made the weather, and then they stand in the rain and say, shit, it's raining. Like that's supposed to be like the big emotional tear-jerking moment of the movie, and I'm just watching, just kind of like, man, she's trying way too hard. Like, I don't get why you can't just give an actor an Academy Award for being in a good performance and not just doing some Oscar bait, cliched riddled stuff like this. I mean, this and also Judy, like, she's not really doing anything that really shows her true talents as an actress. I mean, this is somebody who deserves to win Academy Awards, but not for performances that are just so bland and mediocre. That's the same thing with Julianne Moore and Jessica Chastain. Like, I want to see them win Oscars, but I want to see them win Oscars for stuff that they actually acted in, they actually did something in. And I don't know. Maybe it's just me in particular. Maybe I just don't like this director in general, because like I said, he did The English Patient, which I did not think was that good of a movie, but then again, he did do The Talented Mr. Ripley, so maybe it's just my personal opinion on those movies. I thought they were just oversold because they were a part of the Harvey Weinstein thing, where he would do whatever it takes to get these movies the recognition that they thought they deserved, and I don't know. It's not a bad movie. I'm making it seem like it's a bad film, but it's just a film that I'm not really that big of a fan of. I just feel like there should have been so much more to it. There's great actors involved all the way through, but just not enough there for me to say that it's worth it. But that's just my personal take on it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next film we have here, and that's Ben Affleck's third film of 2003. The best one he's done, and that is Paycheck.
It's a matter of national security. Tell us everything you did right now. I can't. You wipe my memory.
Take 'em. Paycheck is the perfect thriller for the holidays. A whodunit that will keep you guessing right up until the end. Oh my God. With action sequences only John Woo can deliver. Words can't describe how amazing Paycheck really is. Ben Affleck, Sharon Eckhart, Uma Thurman. Paycheck, rated PG-13, starts Christmas Day.
Which isn't really saying a whole lot, because the idea of it really is stupid right from the get-go from that trailer, where you basically have Ben Affleck being asked, what do you remember? And he's just like, I can't, you wiped my memory, remember? It's just like, what do they expect him to do? And it's funny because, you know, he got paid the biggest paycheck of his career, earning about $15 million for this. And whenever he's asked why he's starting the film, he says, the answer lies in the title. That's probably really the reason why it was called Paycheck to begin with. But in here, he plays Michael Jennings, a reverse engineer who does technical jobs for certain companies, and as soon as he is done, his memory of the work is wiped out. Now, the longest he's been contracted is 2 months, but now billionaire James Rethrick, played by Aaron Eckhart, offers him a job that will last 2 years, maybe 3 years, and promises that he will earn 8 figures. Michael agrees, but before he begins, he turns in all of his personal effects. When the job is done, his memory is erased, and he learns that he made over $90 million over the next 3 years. When he goes to claim it in his personal effects, he discovers that prior to the erasure of his memory, he waived his rights to the money he earned, and that the items were given to him were not the ones that he gave when he began. He's then arrested by the FBI, who says that he committed some act of treason or murder, and it's while he's in custody that he escapes using some of the items that he was given, 19 items to be exact. Later, he meets a friend who gives him some information, played by Uma Thurman, that helps him understand what is going on. At the same time, Rethrick sends his people to pursue him for him. So, I mean, I would say it's Total Recall, but it's literally Total Recall. It's literally the same author, Philip K. Dick, who wrote this, and it's just not a very good. It's a bad movie, but considering what Ben Affleck did in 2003, it's the best thing he's done, and even then, it's not a good movie in the long run. It's just a film that is really just like, it's so confusing. It's so all over the place. It's so bad that John Woo, who had made a name for himself with Face Off and found success with MI2, Mission Impossible 2, even though it was not a huge critical success, it was still a financial success. He did not direct another American film for 20 years after this. He did Silent Night recently, which, that should tell you everything you need to know. This is the movie that made him say, I'm getting out of this business. Like, that should tell you everything you need to know about how bad this is. This is just a sloppy film, but has some cool effects at times, but at the same time, the story is just all over the place. None of it makes any sense whatsoever. Like, how is he supposed to explain to people what happened to him over the last 3 years when he's literally telling them, you wiped my memory? And it's just like, nope, we're not going to answer that. We're not going to accept that. It's just like in The Bourne Legacy with Rachel Weisz's character. Whenever, like she says, she has no idea what's happening, and then people are just like, nope, got to kill you anyway because we're the bad guys. Just like, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and it just ruins what maybe could have been something good. But you know why Ben Affleck took this film. He took the film for the big paycheck he got, and let's just say that this, like I said, it's not the worst thing he's been in. over this 2-year period where his career really took a downfall. We still haven't gotten to the bottom of the barrel, which we'll get to next Christmas, or next October, if you will, if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, not much more to say about this one. Just not a good film. Not a good film at all. Paycheck. So let's move on to the next movie, and that is Toy Boat. Let's take a look at the live-action Peter Pan, the one that did before Disney did.
Come away to Neverland.
This Christmas,
There are mermaids, Indians, pirates.
escape to a place
Bring me those children!
where anything is possible.
Brace yourselves, lads.
Japan, rated PG. At theaters Christmas Day.
Like I said, Disney, this is the one that Universal beat you to. Of course, this is based off of J.M. Barrie's story, where you have you pretty much have the story of Peter Pan already memorized in your head. But Wendy Darling mesmerizes her brothers every night with bedtime tales of swordplay, swashbuckling, and the fearsome Captain Hook. But the children become the heroes of an even greater story when Peter Pan flies into their nursery one night and leads them over moonlight rooftops, through a galaxy of stars, and to the lush jungles of Neverland. Wendy and her brothers join Peter and the Lost Boys in the exhilarating life free of grown-up rules, which also faces the inevitable showdown with Hook and his bloodthirsty pirates. And you could pretty much tell what's going to happen from there. But directed by P.J. Hogan, who had done My Best Friend's Wedding and Muriel's Wedding before this, and related to Confessions of a Shopaholic. And there's definitely a lot to admire about the movie. The visual aspects of the movie is great. Definitely a better representation of the original Peter Pan in this particular movie. There are some notable flaws to it. I think there's a lot of things about it that do kind of make me step back from saying it's one of the great adaptations of the story, but it is better than what Disney did with Peter Pan and Wendy. I mean, just from the perspective of them actually adding an element to this film that wasn't in the Disney version, the live-action Disney version, not the animated one. That still tops the charts on that one. But this is probably the best overall live-action Peter Pan storyline. I'm not talking about sequels or anything with Hook and all that. I'm talking about a straightforward live-action retelling of Peter Pan. This is easily the best one in movie form that I've seen, from a visual perspective, from a casting perspective, from a story perspective. I think it works very well overall. It has some notable flaws to it, but it really is a film that I think deserves a lot more attention than it gets. It's a film that's very impressively put together, and you can tell that they put a lot of time and effort to make it work, even if nobody really went to go see it. I think it's a film that deserves a cult following overall. I think it's a very solid film. I recommend it. I think it's a ton of fun. So on to the last movie we have here, another movie with an Oscar winner in it, Charlize Theron and Christina Ricci in Monster.
For some cause I don't believe in.
Any soldier shall be hunted down like a dog.
One man. One chance. One way home.
I was seeing him come back to me.
Jude Law, Nicole Kidman, Renee Zellweger.
A woman with a victim complex who thinks that everybody else is beneath her. I mean, this is the earliest indication of a Karen, if you want to really go down that route. But Charlize Theron plays serial killer Aileen Wuornos, who's a street prostitute who murdered 7 of her male clients between 1989 and 1990 and was executed in Florida in 2002. It stars Charlize Theron, like I said, as Wuornos, and Christina Ricci as her semi-fictionalized lover, based on Wuornos' real-life girlfriend, Tyra Moore. This is written and directed by Patty Jenkins, who of course later would go on to direct Wonder Woman. And it's okay. Here's the thing: Charlize. It's kind of like with Renee Zellweger, but in Cold Mountain. I think it's a good performance by Charlize Theron that really carries it through, and she deserves to win an Oscar. But I feel like there were some other much better roles that she could have won an Oscar for besides this one. I feel like that. This is a performance where it's just like, it's a good performance. It really is one of the stronger aspects of the movie. That and Christina Ricci. I think both of them work off each other very well. The rest of the film, though, I think is just too grisly, too bleak in general, to really cement this as a film that is a must-see. I think you only go to see this movie to watch the performances of Theron and Ricci, and everything else it's just okay. It's nothing incredible, nothing too spectacular, but the two leading performances really do stick out the most in this movie. At least in my opinion, it does. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just not fully invested in the story all that much. But like I said, I think the performances of Theron and Ritchie are the two things that make you want to see the film in general. But other than that, though, I just wish there was a better film to go around to it overall. It just feels like another one of those movies that is trying to be kind of an Oscar-baited, cliched riddled film. But yeah, it's just okay. Like, is those performances elevate a movie that would have been just too okay? Maybe for a one-time, maybe not even for a one-time watch. Maybe finding the best stuff with Charlize Theron in it, and then after that, just go on with your day. There's nothing really. The movie itself, nothing is. What I'm trying to say is, I feel like I'm jumbling my words here. What I'm trying to say here is that the movie is nothing special. The two leading performances by Charlize Theron and Christina Ricci are the two things you should take away from this movie that you should indeed see. I think those are the two things that carry the film over to something that I would say it's worth watching just for those performances. But everything else, not so much. So let's go ahead and get myself out of here with this one. That is Monster.